in Holland, it's even more interesting because there are two organizations, and they all collect money, and they say that the other organizations should pay out. And then there's, of course, the governments who are very sensitive to, apparently, for lobbies from the industry, and they make laws which are really very bad for privacy and really weakens the position of consumers and of normal citizens, and only strengthens the position of governments. Some other remarks. You might know all of mp3.com. Russian site sells mp3s without DRM, big collection, several qualities. You can download it in mp3, you can download it in OGG, and you can download it in lossless. They have a large collection, according to them, and which has they pay levy to the Russian organizations. So they are legal, according to them. And up till now, the Russian law has confirmed that. However, American labels want to stop it. They say it's not fair, they don't get enough paid, artists don't get any money. But then I ask myself, how come that an American company like, say, Nike can go to Asia or to Africa and use child labor for a few cents an hour to make their products and make enormous profits? Why can't I use this so-called globalization to get my music cheaply? But that's how the industry works. Only globalization and only laws if it suits them. The good thing in Holland is that downloading music is still legal. If you download music, you will not get fined or sued. This is not the case for movies or software, by the way, and it's not the case for uploading. However, Dutch law enforcement will not be very active in pursuing uploading if you do it on a small, non-commercial scale. Of course, people are trying to change those laws. In Germany, they stopped a directive. They wanted to make a directive that if you upload some music, if on a small scale, without commercial profit, then they would not pursue it, but this has been stopped. They did it, of course this has been a lobby from the industry. In Holland they wanted also to have a levy that people who play an MP3 player pay a levy. The organization who wanted to do that said, okay, we make a levy which is 0% and we'll decide the final price later. But they were stopped by the Dutch government, fortunately. Of course, peer-to-peer is getting better. In terms of speed and availability of things you can get, it's sometimes amazing. And of course, soon we'll probably find ways to have anonymous peer-to-peer use, plausible deniabilities, so that it makes it much harder to find those people who use peer-to-peer. One thing about classical music, I'm a member of a students' orchestra, and the way things work with classical music is, like most things, music is copyrighted until 70 years after the death of the composer. In Holland, a lot of orchestras, they rent music from one organization. There are two organizations in Holland where you can rent music. And they pay a certain amount of money for renting the music and also for the rights for performance. Because this is almost a monopoly, you can get in trouble with that. There was another students' orchestra in Amsterdam who decided that we're going to perform a composer which has been dead for more than 70 years. I think it was Gustav Mahler. And they got the music from the United States, which was much cheaper. Then they, when the organization which normally rents those music out discovers it, they got very upset. Even they had every right to get the music from abroad, but they could make it very difficult for these orchestras to rent other music which they needed. So there is a monopoly here.
You mean notes or notations?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I want to have a little sidetrack to movies. And I want to talk a little remark about Hollywood accounting. Because record labels are very evil, obviously. Should we feel guilty about downloading? In some ways, no. Should we feel guilty about downloading movies? Well, there is this thing called Hollywood accounting, where when a movie is made, the production is split into several companies. And the way it works is that the profits go to one certain company and the costs go to another company. So if you have a writer or a director who depends on the profits, they often get paid from the costs, and according to Hollywood accounting, because revenue is coming in somewhere else than the costs, officially they make no profit, and a director and a writer does not get paid, even if the music sells millions. That's one of the reasons that Peter Jackson decided not to get involved with the Hobbit movie. So, Dying Giraffe Recordings and the Creative Commons to the rescue, or we hope. Dying Giraffe Recordings uses Creative Commons license. We try to have cheap prices to make music affordable to everyone. We don't do DRM, we just offer our downloads in MP3. We are experimenting with podcasts, streams, downloads, and we also do normal CDs. We use the internet for promotion. We do CD pressing and distribution, and we use internet for promotion. So the way we use the Creative Commons is that we ask every artist that is signed by us to publish at least a few tracks on a Creative Commons license. From our perspective, dual license is possible. This is not always possible from the standpoint of the law, of course, but that we're striving to. People can, for example, part of their repertoire can be Creative Commons and part of their repertoire can be normal copyright. So we want to give the artists the freedom to license their music as they want. Those Creative Commons tracks should be free downloadable on our site. And we also demand that if our tracks on a Creative Commons license are played on the radio, the Buma Stemra or Kewa do not get paid because it's not under their license. We try to keep our prices low, between 6 and 9 euros for a CD, including shipping within Europe. Free downloads, and there's a tip jar if you want to give a donation to the artist, then you can do that. Of course, this is not without problems. So we have encountered several problems on the field of income and payment, promotion, psychotic distributors and artists, recording, CD pressing, distribution, and the system. Short remark about the psychotic distributors and artists. We had, when we started Dying Giraffe Recordings, we got a lot of music in, and some of that music was really crappy. I mean, that happens. Then we got some artists which had pretty good music, but where the artists were really, well, crazy. Once a specific case was this guy where we had a delay in CD pressing and he suddenly started to threaten us and started to badmouth us to other people, and they even tried to sabotage concerts we were playing by we had an evening where there were several artists of our label playing, and they tried to sabotage it by stretching out their sound check so that no one else could do a sound check and no one else could play. Then psychotic distributors. We had a deal with a distributor in England. We gave him money, and he would contact our CD press manufacturers to make CDs. So he took our money and then he disappeared. He didn't react to our SMSs or emails or calls or whatever. He was gone. So we decided to contact our CD pressing directly and publish the CDs ourselves. And then suddenly this guy, his assistant, showed up, and he said that he was very upset with us bypassing his services, and that he was in the music business for so long that he had some shady contacts that he would be able to find us, and that we wouldn't be able to find him, and that he would have violent contacts that he would use if necessary. So, and this is not just a small guy. This is actually a well-known distributor in England. So, this is one of the risks that this is one of the things that we encountered, which were very quite problematic. They were not that big issues, but it does sometimes kill the motivation if you're really working very hard to set up this thing for artists and for music lovers, and then you get these people. So we have all these problems. So how are we going to try to solve this? So one of the biggest problems is that people download the music, but they don't pay. They don't buy the CDs, or they don't give donations. That is still a problem. We have to try to be realistic on that. People are willing to pay maybe some money. Many people aren't willing to pay not that much money. There's also this thing that many people are willing to pay for a certain item, for a certain product, because it costs a certain amount of money. If they see, oh, a CD is 20 euros, I will buy it because it's 20 euros. If they see a CD is 6 euros, then they think, well, it is not such a good CD. That's the way how things work. That's the way how consultants work. If you're a consultant and you ask 4,000 euros a day, they will hire you because you cost 4,000 euros a day. If you ask 120 euros a day, they will not hire you. That's the way things work. And there's also the thing that people can now download everything for free, so why should they pay? Of course, also on the side of the music lovers, there has to be some mentality change. We keep our overhead low, and most of our proceedings go to the artists. But we do have some costs. We have our hosting costs. We have people working on it on their free time. We have all kinds of volunteers working on it. Our artists are not people who are going to who expect to become rich of making music. They are people who have day jobs but really love to make music and really like to spread their music. So we need to find ways to increase our income. So we have considered many things, like limiting the free stuff. One thing would be that only streams would be free, or downloads will be limited on a lower quality. For example, MP3s in 128K bps. We could provide only podcasts, or we would supply downloads with commercials. Magnatune actually does that. You can download the whole album, but between tracks there will be a commercial announcement for Magnatune's promoting them. It's not the way that we would like to do things, but it's something we have to consider. Of course, there's a tip jar, so people can give donations. We hope to encourage people maybe to give some donations if they like the music, or if they like concert. Or we also need, of course, to find an alternative for PayPal. We really have, like most people, a lot of problems with PayPal. It's really crappy organizations to get payments, but there are not that many alternatives who accept international payments for not too high fee. We're also considering doing Google Ads on our site, and we're also thinking of licensing our music for commercial use, for example, in commercials or movies. Distribution. Until now, distribution has not been such a problem because the traditional distributors were actually quite willing to get our CDs. The problem is distribution is very expensive. Our CDs, if we do them via distributors, they are sold in the big chains, including in Holland you have Free Record Shop, MediaMarkt, things like that. But the price of a CD is about 20 euros, and we sell them to the distributor for, say, 4 euros. So there's a markup about 16 euros for distributors. That's how things work. The advantage is, of course, that the CD is visible in record stores, in big chains, and even can get sold on iTunes. And another thing why we do this is that if we get into the catalogs of distributors, there's a bigger chance of getting signed for concerts. The way people who book concerts for concert halls, they look, if you send them a demo, they will look up if you are selling your CD, and they're looking it up in the catalogs of distributors. And then if you're in the catalog, then they will sign you for a concert.